campaign, neither were. What I am saying though is stewards shouldn't let that go when inept tactics happen.
Yeah.
Because they should be accountable.
Yeah. Sorry.
Circling back to what we were saying before, one thing that I think will be good for wagering pods, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me, is how healthy Flemington is.
Yeah.
Like after talking to Mick, he's got 5 weeks now to the Mackay, and then I think it's another 4 to the Turnbull.
Yep.
Like that track's just going to. If we've had really good winter rain this year, as opposed to last year when he had to water it.
That's the key.
He hasn't had to water it. I think with these breaks now, like the track looked $1 million there.
Did you walk the whole lap?
Not this time. I walked from the 1,000 back.
No, I did previously, Ralph, and the reason I walked the lap was because you guys were saying it was heavy down the back.
Well, it was again on Saturday. Did you know? Have you noticed?
It's not to do. What you guys are finding in the times, what you guys are seeing in the times, is not to do with the surface. It's to do with the temp that the jockeys are doing. Because at the most, there would be, like, it'd be very subtle, the difference. There might be half a rating. The ground, there's no way in the world the ground is significantly softer down the back. Yeah. So whatever is coming up in Vince's times is not to do with the surface. It's to do with other issues.
I've got one other point that I just wonder if it is that at this time of year, you said you've had significant rain, that the water table's up a bit more, so instead of it just draining right through, even though in this last 200s, clearly going very well, I just reckon the back straight, that there's a bit more, it's just not...
Well, if it is when
it's holding more water, but maybe a bit more beneath the surface.
Well, I'm really forcing that. I use a scoop hole, it's the stopper taken off it, and I push it right in, and I've asked Mick, I've asked Liam previously. They've done, but the penetrometer's the same all the way around. It's not.
And I think what's happened, especially probably less so at the meeting just on Saturday, but definitely the one a fortnight ago, the wind was a big factor.
The wind was, but what we are in lockstep was how good did that play on Saturday?
Yeah, and the thing is, it'll be better than that come the spring once it gets some sunshine on it. It'll just be unreal. And Caulfield, we're heading there this Saturday, Pots, and it's been in phenomenal shape for the last few meetings they've had there.
Absolutely. Particularly Caulfield and Flemington are in outstanding order. We can look forward to having some great tracks to bet on all over the spring. Whatever meetings we do have at Sandown's in really good order too. There's just that problem on the lakeside track.
Yeah, where they come down
with the downhill run, the sharp turn. It's not really about the grass and the turf. But anyway,
shall we have a look at?
We can, and we'll just touch on one thing from yesterday. It was, of course, Crisp, Steeple and Grand National Hurdle Day, and well done to I know the sun was out yesterday, so well done to the 14 people that got out there with one megaphone and 2 flags that were then penned into one side car park that were protesting against the anti-jumps. So.
Before we go off that, I just want to make a bit of an apology to subscribers that got my set yesterday. Obviously with the Saturday set, I start working on Wednesday and I'll do a lot of work on Thursday, and it gets sent out on Friday with the early prices I'm suggesting taking. So I've had plenty of time to absorb the market and make sure that what I send out is achievable. Now, obviously with the Sunday meeting, it's a lot more rushed. So I actually did race 1 at about 7:30 in the morning. I could not believe, I almost fell over when I saw Perfectly Safe was $9.50. I just, to me it was obviously going to start favourite. So I backed it myself at 8 o'clock. And as I was doing each race, I was doing the betting plan. And so then I did all the other races, and the set ended up getting sent at 10:30. After I'd bet, I took $9 at 3 places. There was still $9 at 3 places, and there was $8 and $6 elsewhere. Now, then I did all the other races, and I neglected to go back and check the markets before I hit send. So I do apologise to people that got my set thinking they could take $9, and when they went to check, they probably would have seen $5.50 and $6. Unfortunately, I said I'm just asking for a little bit of leeway in a situation like on a Sunday when there's not a very mature market and a lot's happening. And I should have checked the market, but I didn't, so I got sent out with that information on it. And the one with Moss and Dale, where I had $3.40 on it, the price hadn't actually moved. You could still get the same price, but there'd been a late scratching. White Horse Lady was a late scratching that come out virtually as I hit the send button. Anyway, so there was a few people that were a bit upset about it, and I hope you understand. And it's not me being...
No, it's nothing.
I'm not trying to rub sand in anyone's face and put prices on a set that are not achievable. It's just sometimes in that sort of circumstance, the market can move very quickly. So anyway.
Flemington Saturday, boys. We kicked off with Yulong Baby winning the first. It was 270 to 250. There was probably only 3 horses in the market that...
Got to a good price. Didn't it? I mean, that's because I think one of the more overrated things about it's all about getting a price in racing. Only from this perspective, if you get the wrong price BHP, you've still got a share of a very good company.
Yeah.
If you get the best price about a horse that gets beaten, you've got jack shit.
Well, I've spent a lifetime trying to eat value, Ralphie, and it's not fucking working out.
That's what I'm saying. But in that type of circumstance, I went to bed Friday night thinking Newland Baby was my best bet. Kirtland got scratched. I put it even money. I didn't want to take even money, which is basically what it was.
Yeah, which is what it opened,
Saturday
yeah.
morning. So I sat back. But then, that to me is a good example. It's all about the price, because then you'll eventually say, well, 250, 270 range, that's pretty good value. Because it would win that race more than 5 times out of 10 that they run.
The problem with her was that she was just she's a very reliable mare, but she was awful last start. And
that headwind pots, mate. The headwind
I've heard
massive.
that. I just maybe. I mean, she's a mare. They have off days as well. So if you could have forgiven her for, they might still marked her 6-4, and you could have taken some of the late price there. To me, the notable thing about the race was, we made some changes to our Pro Better Live chat room on Saturday, rather than being so mechanical, just trying to offer information in there that's really pertinent. And the first observation I had for the day was that My Sanctuary is a mare that's been desperately out of form for a couple of months, and Darren Weir had to throw everything at her to try and get her back to some sort of form. And she was well supported and ran accordingly. And to me, that was a signal that all of the Weir runners that were well supported on the day were going to run well. So
well, you got that wrong, didn't you?
That worked out well for us and our subscribers. So we managed to,
but that was interesting.
Improved our result on the day because we were very mindful of the Weir runners all day. So.
What's interesting about that with, I reckon, Caulfield the week before, the Weir team turned up not ready at all, next start type horses. So if they do it that way, well, good on them, because they're bloody good at what they do. And when they turn up, they come to play. Yeah,
there's certain things you look for them. Sometimes when they, you can tell this is the day. It's all going to happen today. So,
race 2 was won by Zanbakar, who was the reverse robots. There was a heap of top fluck money, which kept the on-course price down. It only SP'd 420, top fluck 420, but it was 550 best total.
Now, can you explain that to me a bit more about what would have happened there? Because
what would have happened is...
Hang on, because I had someone on Twitter ask me, and then I said, well, who do you go to do for robot advice? DK?
I think that was Plugger Rivera, wasn't it? I think,
yes.
G'day, Plugger. I went to school.
Okay. And Dan answered it in something that was just a bit too wagering speak for me. I didn't quite understand.
Well, basically what would have happened there is that one or two, for a price to be flucked out to the audience, it has to be seen on 3 rails boards.
Yep.
So what you can then do is if you take a large top fluck bet, so say someone might have wanted, say 20,000 top fluck, right? You think that it might be 550 or something in the morning. You try, as a bookmaker, you're trying to do your best to try and keep that price down. So what you'll often see is one of the bookies will walk up to all the others and say, how much top fluck do you want this?
Yep.
Some might say X amount, some might say more.
Yep.
But then it's the understanding that if that's the case, we don't express it out the gate.
So is there an integrity issue with that?
Well, it's just the market forces though.
So eventually if there's enough money on other horses, they'll say...
Yes.
Right.
So, but also, if I was there in cash and they all went up at 550 and I took it all there, they're not then going to roll it out. Like, that'll bring the price down. So it's just essentially that money going on before the market comes up to get that top price.
So the fact that it was 550, does that say that the robots didn't touch it?
Potentially, yes. Or the robots probably didn't really have it in their thoughts.
Yes.
And also, normally the gap, even if it wasn't fancied by the robots, the gap between especially the top fluck and the top tote normally narrows right down.
Well, if Michael Walker was the worst rider of the weekend, I think he was, on Majestic Lass, I'd have to say that Odeon, Andrew Melian's right here, and Odeon would be the second worst. I don't know how it would have gone, I would have liked to have found out, but they were going slowly early, they went slower in the mid-race, and he was wide. Instead of making an advantage, he tried to and the horse was fighting for 600-700 metres, and then he got past because he got the all-important cover. It was just a disaster.
That's one thing that we sort of thought, after we walked the track, that you were at an advantage, we thought, if you were making your move in between that 600 and 800 metre part,
so
and working in, because you were going to get to the best part of the straight first.
When he was in the right lane, he could have sat 3 wide no cover or pressed to OSL, but when he was 3 wide, covered to then wrench into the worst lane and have it's just a disaster. So anyway, we don't know how that would have gone, but I think pretty plain figures. What do you think of this race?
Yeah, not a lot.
Yep. Race 3 was taken out by some bloke from up the bush, DK Weir, on Kalani Kid, which was heavily backed. It was 390 to 310.
He's a winner. He's a winner this distance. It's a good start.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I don't know what to make it through. So I priced them all pretty similar, the 3 chances in the race, but the other 2 just went too slow. So
I kept pin your hopes, I've got to say, but I've been getting him wrong up until then. So eventually get him right. It's been like the economist that picked 72 out of the last 2 recessions.
Yeah. Another nothing race, so really.
The 4th race was taken out by that man again who quinelled it this time with Royal Rapture. He was 310 into 280, beating the Tooleybuck Kid.
Here's another horse. I didn't give this horse enough credit for its last win, so I couldn't get it as short as the market did, and I was wrong. So
ultimately, he's won a bad race too.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying.
Better the same horses again, though.
Yeah.
I thought he sort of had his birthday last start from a draw that allowed him to be dominant, but he did it from an inside draw there on Saturday. So.
But do you think that, and this is probably my thoughts about Pinion Hopes leading into this previous race, we'll get it right and wrong, but do you think maybe there's a chance he's had another birthday?
Yeah, he's been it's a terrible race.
That's what I mean. Yeah. so
it
was hard to assess. No great times.
And Michael D seems to be, it seems that the WE does have a pretty high opinion of Michael D, and they seem to be putting on some decent chances too.
Well, the low draw got away with it because there happened to be room. So, and this is, I'm using Vince Cardi stuff, given that we've got no name anymore. I'm doing a lunch at Crown with Vince on September 2 on a Friday, so if you wanted to come, get in touch with me.
I've seen the pictures of some of those, spoken to Vince about it myself. They are very good if you're keen to learn more. And you get that at lunch and a few beers.
That's exactly
there's
right.
There's not a lot of downside in it.
Garden room at Crown, we've had, and what we do. I like the fact we've had repeat people, which is quite humbling. But also, people say, "Well, I'm here because I'm an expert, but I bought my mate." And what's your interest? And he goes, "I go to the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah,
I don't watch racing, but I'm here to get a skinful." So everyone's happy. So.
Yeah. Race 5.
There's a race.
Was taken out by the whole package there is pretty talented. Ullman's pretty talented, Benny Allen's pretty talented, and that Darren Weir bloke's pretty talented. He was 250 out to 330 back into 320, but that was just sort of, they probably opened him up a bit short and got to the price point.
We had a horse here in Ullman that was finely tuned, set to peak, was always going to set a benchmark in this race. It was very hard to beat. A plan that was perfectly executed by B. Allen, and the only horse in the race that had the talent to bring them undone there was Pilot to Say, who come into the yard with plenty of improvement, and at the moment, it's just a fact, B. Allen is riding a lot better than Dwayne Dunn is. I mean, this wasn't a bad ride by Dwayne Dunn by any stretch of the imagination, and the horse ran incredibly well. I just think, with a bit more, a rider riding with a bit more confidence might have been able to reverse that result, but, 2 very nice horses, and I think Pilot to Say is going to continue to improve, and for me, he's the horse to follow out of the meeting.
And in fairness to Dwayne, we both saw the race exactly the same way. Over the next few weeks, this is where you say, right, try and think what the trainer's doing as a punter, which you obviously do, but I'm just saying. And so you'd say, well, its grand final wasn't Saturday, it didn't have the mouth guard in, which not to say they wouldn't have been delighted with winning, but Ullman came off a cracking win already, so you had to have Ullman shorter no matter what Pilot to Say was going to turn up, and you always going to expect it to want to take the back of Ullman and see who the best horse was. Is that sort of how you see it?
Yeah, I think that's right. I just think Dwayne sort of second guessed himself a little bit in the mid stages of that race when he could have made Ben Allen's life a lot more difficult, right? So, but anyway, but
what I'm saying is
what
intent at the start of a prep is to be more on the conservative side on good horses.
Yeah, it was all very marginal. Like we're talking about half a length here and there, and in the end, on the line, there's only was it half a length or less? You know what I mean? Like there was very little in it. I think the problem is that Dwayne and the stable. I'll be careful to say, so I'm going to get bagged if I say this. I don't think they realise how good that horse is. That horse,
I'll get to one
that horse is a lot better horse than Ullman is. And now, Ormond had all the advantages on Saturday, so that's fair enough.
Maybe
So
they're both very good.
they are good. Ormond's a nice horse. Paul to say is an extremely talented horse.
Some Majestic Duke, massive anchor drop in the race, by the way. Worth looking at this. Next start, if they get the pace right over a mile, not against Ormond or Pilot to Say, but I reckon Majestic Duke could beat the rest of them.
A couple out of this one, Duke of Brunswick obviously just ran into a few more progressive horses.
Wrong race for it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Ori Star should have been its race.
You've been saying that all along.
It's 1,200 times better than it's 1,400 times.
And one of my horses to follow out of the meeting also ran in this race. I thought Calvin Williams worked home all right, and I think, I believe they said they're going to head towards the Bendigo Cup with him. I think it's a nice. They could get there in one piece and be all right.
You would think they wouldn't bother with this horse unless it's showing them something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think they said that he's acclimatised now.
Yep, absolutely.
So
there's logic to it.
if we can't get him going, then I don't think anyone can.
Price.
Well, he'd be worn out by the time he gets to Bendigo by then. Race 6 was taken out by Schaff, who was he was relatively solid in the market. He didn't sort of move. He used that $10, $11 through most of the
So can I just tell everyone else?
I had 12 in the quaddy, I did that.
Oh, really? Well, I could tell everyone out there. When I did this, so what I tend to do is I just go through and get the map, do the base ratings for all the horses, and then go and check if there's any other relevant information that's going to impact the race. So when I first did this race, I marked Schaff 25 to 1. Okay. Then I went and had a look at the full set of front straight trials at Flemington last Friday. This horse trialled like a rocket. It was like a different horse that I'd never seen before. And I immediately took $16, $17, whatever it was, and marked it $9, and I probably should have marked it shorter. Honestly, you cannot jump out better than that horse did down the straight last Friday, and it's the one of the advantages we get over the big teams.
And hello,
they don't look at them. So, it's just that was a good bit of information for us. So that was a nice result for me and my subscribers.
So well done. So I don't think he's a 1,000-metre horse, but fucking hell, they went quickly in that first 200. So that all of a sudden made a rock hard fit, as you say. He's come off a good jump out, and he's happy and healthy, and he's dominated that race in the right part of the track and a perfect Zara ride. So
perfect part of the track, everything else, but it's a very fast race. So I'm not quite sure what to make of it.
Well, I want to bet a fast cash next time. That's you always say about 1,000-metre being his 1,000-metre form.
Yeah.
But that to me is the perfect run of the 1,200 horse. Ready to.
Yeah, he did nice things last prep fast cash, so it's probably that's a good sign, and this should be his best prep. So.
And one on Friday.
The Ori Star was taken out by a horse that I could never catch in Cebu, who was $6 top flight.
First start with blinkers since going to Darren Weir, and soft early pace. So that's the two things he needs. So if you see a fast run race with Cebu, it's a doubt, but if you see a slow run sprint, as in relative to sprint distances, he's got this just dynamic turn of foot. So that was just Christmas for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's been a nightmare horse for me over a long period of time, so I'm always negative about him, but every time I looked at that race on Saturday, he just kept bothering me, so I did say to our, and given the day that Weir was having, I did say to our subscribers that we should be saving on Cebu, so it was a race that I won on, so anyway, you'll never be able to rely on him though, you know what I mean? I think what Ralphie's saying is right. When he gets circumstances to suit, he'll do his thing, but more often than not he'll turn it on.
Well, first up you want to see something from horses. So Dibiani and Tashby were for me tick. Mighty Light, this will be the first time I've ever put Ollie in my worst rides category, but on the figures he got too far back, and it was the horse you were talking about before, Pilot to Say.
Yeah.
I reckon Big Price consistently unrates Mighty Light. Yeah. And that was he was easily the biggest mid-race squeeze in the race. And 1,400, I think he's got a winner in this.
Yeah, I don't know why Ollie's going to get at least one pair, maybe two pairs further back than he needed to. I'm not quite sure what was going on there. But anyway, I thought, Dibiani, I'm not sure about Dibiani. He hasn't won yet in Australia, and he's I think he's a bit of a gunner, that horse. So I'm
been behind Wings twice.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a bit, but I think he's going to always be behind something. You know what I mean? Until he wins a race, I'm not convinced about him. But I think Tashby's a funny horse. Early on in his career, he was plagued by slowly run races, that horse. He won a few of them, but they never helped him. he never developed as much as he should have. He had a lot of talent. Last prep he really come on quite a bit.
Super.
And I think that both his jump out and then his run there on Saturday are a tremendous platform for him. And I think he's the other horse to fly from the meeting on Saturday. I think he'll have a good prep.
Keep him jumping up.
No,
you can be like that bookie that fell asleep at the sound now.
Well, they only did 2 days in a row. I normally do about 5.
I had to run for the under 11s. I reckon I'm going. That's it.
Rubber race 8.
Race 8. No, it's a bit of a struggle to sleep at my house at the minute. Nadine last won race 7. She was 21 into 16 and the losing result for most.
Race 8.
Race 8.
Why was it 21s into 16s? What's that going to go on with Sunday with yesterday that we're blowing up about?
I can tell that one of the bigger pros was honest. That was part of the firm.
Well, the only way you could give it a chance would be if you knew they were going to walk. So the only way you knew they were going to walk would be if you knew that Larkwood was going to be ridden conservatively and passively, and voila.
But the market didn't sort of reflect that either, because they backed LaQuara as well. Like, they were very... He was 17 to 4, 64, 40. Like,
maybe the people who backed Larkwood thought it'd be a good idea to go as slowly as possible, and the other people thought
didn't pan out that way.
That's what I'm saying. So the other people were too smart, and they said, "Well, let's back this get back." Miss Denny can go significantly faster. I think that's another type of horse that from a big stable with a big stable of underrated. It's some nice figures in Sydney.
No, I backed it for a really good result.
You too. Oh, sorry. Next up, Miss Denny, they'll be more positive and they won't get a race running slowly. That's the only horse I want to see out of that race.
And I say that, well done. You might have been by accident. The problem here, a lot of the tactics given the jockeys. I haven't heard the winning stable representative say after the race, his instructions to the jockey were to try and slot in 3 wide midfield because you look like a goose if you caught 4 wide. I mean, on that track on Saturday in the bigger fields, the spot to win from was in the off the rails positions within striking distance of the leaders that allowed you to get to the 7 off centre of the track position, which was the fast lane. This horse was ridden magnificently by Ben Thompson. It was the best ride of the day.
Yes.
He's won narrowly. It was just an outstanding ride. And, again, I don't want to be too critical of Dwayne Dunn because he might have been riding to instructions, I suppose, but he gave up that position to go and sit outside the lead.
On who?
Just Stella. He should have just sat there midfield, 3 or 4 wide, got to the middle of the track, and she probably would have out-sprinted him. A slowly run race would have suited her. It's, honestly, some of the rushing out of the gates in this race, I understand they went slow, but that was an anchor drop.
Yeah.
They rushed out of the gates and then stopped. It's just, they basically, it's committing suicide on that style of track. You're just giving every advantage to the horses that have got momentum getting to the middle, getting outside you.
What makes us money in this caper is people having no idea, and what is torture to us in this caper is people having no idea.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating race to watch because
it's just reality.
It's all about the riding, and so on a positive note, this is full credit to Ben Thompson. Well done.
The last was taken out by Canvas, and if you looked at the market, you think that it had absolutely none. You thought it wasn't even there. But
well, Juppy, it was the market reacting to the way the track was playing, and everyone overreacted to the inside draws.
Perfect, right?
So can I just say, the one bit of poor information that I provided to our guys in the chat room on Saturday was that I was a little bit concerned that the horses we were backing were drawn inside.
Yeah.
I did say that it might work out okay because all the speed's drawn inside, they'll head towards the middle. It might work out okay. So hopefully I didn't put anyone off too much. But we got a really good price canvas because of it. I liked him in the race, and it was a bit of a pity for the other horse we backed. He's a ripper. He just didn't like being sent on the opposite direction he normally goes, and he raced like a crab for the first 600 metres. So otherwise, he'd afford out the race with canvas.
Well, Batter Joss was a length too far back, and Tyrannise didn't turn up. So
that's Tyrannise.
What will be interesting out of this is Astro Castro's next run.
Yeah.
How the market will treat it, because there was no fluke about what it did. But they might say, Batter Joss got beaten, Tyrannise ran. Tyrannise ran badly, so the old Frenchman Frank before, it's got nothing to do with that because Tyrannise ran badly.
Yeah, I think taking a line through Batter Joss is a much better idea than taking a line through Tyrannise if you're looking at Astro Castro. So.
Horses to follow then, boys.
Tashby and Pilot to say for me.
Pilot to say and Ormond. They're just If they separate, they'll both win next start, and if they don't separate, they'll run the Cronulla again next start.
Deeper into their preps, Calvin Williams and Profit Share from me, I think, once they get deeper into their preps. A couple of other things, boys. Back onto the Olympics, Ralph. Were you aware that the Olympic swimming pool actually has a lifeguard? So if you feel useless, just be aware that there's a bloke sitting there that's meant to rescue Olympic swimmers. Good luck with that. And also, another friend of the show, Angry Will Twin. The Independent has reported Iran has become the first country to ban Pokemon Go.
Right.
So if anyone's looking for Angry Will, he'll be in Iran.
That's it. Yes. Very good. All the best.
At RT Ralphie on Twitter and at racetrackralphie.com.au.
Yep.
Potts will have his usual.
Sandown Wednesday.
Yep.
Caulfield Saturday.
Yep. And
Like
the Potts
Potts plays. Yeah.
Go D's.
I'm at the picnics on Twitter, and also there's been a few people lately that have come up and said g'day when you see me at the races. As we sort of get further into spring, I'm normally either working for one of the joints on the rails or I'm floating around. Always happy to come up and say g'day, and hope to see people out there as the weather gets a little bit better and the footy finishes. So we'll be back at some stage, depending on when this baby of mine decides it actually wants to turn up. But we'll be back at some stage. So good luck, punters, and we'll see you again soon.
And don't forget to send in any suggested names if you
3 tickets talking shit is not going to work.
There'll be a great prize if you are the person that. If you're the person that gets to name the show, we might buy you lunch here at the All Nations. And thanks to the All Nations for having us.